So I watched Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein last weekend in a movie theater. Um, and it reminded me years ago, back in 1994, when I went to the movies with a college acquaintance of mine to watch the Kenneth Branagh version of Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And we loved it, clearly. I loved it. I loved the cinematography, the sets, the performances, the music. I was just enthralled from start to finish. And my acquaintance couldn't stop talking about it. He was on the way back to the university. I mean, he just would not shut up about how great this movie was. He was super enthusiastic about it. And then a week later, after all the reviews came in for the movie, he said, "You know what? Honestly, Frankenstein wasn't as good as I thought it was. It wasn't that great." And I'm like, what? What happened to the enthusiasm? Because I got to tell you, I never changed. I've always loved that movie. Just watched it again, and I think it's amazing. I know that the reviews are between mixed to negative for whatever reason. To this very day, there are people who still swear that it's a bad film, that it's a weird film, or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what movie they're watching, but I love it, and it's incredibly faithful to the novel. There may be some deviations, and maybe some people have a complaint about Branagh's performance. Maybe it's not remorseful enough, or guilt. Maybe he doesn't feel guilty enough in the movie. I don't know. But all versions of Frankenstein have deviations from the novel. The Kenneth Branagh version, though, is the closest to the novel story-wise as any version. Way closer, actually, than any version. The problem is a lot of people are saying the Guillermo del Toro version is also faithful to the novel, and it just simply isn't. It's just not faithful, and that's okay. A movie can be unfaithful to the novel or to the original source and still be a great movie. Just don't say it's faithful to it when it's not. Yeah, there are a couple of scenes that most versions don't have. The ship, the opening and the closing of the film take place in the Arctic, where there's a ship that's stuck in the ice, and the ship's captain comes upon Dr. Frankenstein, who's close to death, and Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein, reveals his story to the ship's captain. It's a story about obsession and and madness, and then the movie ends with the ship's captain learning a lesson, based on Victor's story. So, as far as I know, only this version and the Kenneth Branagh version are true to the novel in that regard, and both the Kenneth Branagh version and the Guillermo del Toro version also have the creature visit this farmhouse with this family, and those are the only two versions I think that have that as well. But as far as the new Frankenstein, that's the only thing that makes it faithful. In my opinion, he changes the spirit of the novel by changing relationships, making Victor Frankenstein completely unsympathetic, creating this brand new character played by Christoph Waltz, who not only isn't in the novel, but really is kind of meaningless in this film. And it's really a bizarre addition, to be brutally honest. So I must say, it's a beautiful looking film. Obviously, Guillermo del Toro loves to make beautiful looking films, obviously loves to make movies about monsters, and he typically does show a lot of sympathy toward the creatures, and he really does sympathize with the creature in Frankenstein. Apparently he's wanted to make this movie for decades, and I guess the reason he wanted to make it was because he wanted to make a version that totally features the creature as kind of the hero, and a creature who absolutely does nothing wrong and is blameless for anything, because this creature, the only killings he commits are in self-defense. I mean, spoiler alert, but the only murders he only murders people who are attacking him, and that's it. And we know that's not faithful to the novel, because in the novel, again, spoiler alert, he kills some innocent people in the novel, the creature does. But not only does Guillermo del Toro not want this creature to kill an innocent person, he actually has Victor Frankenstein kill one of the victims of the creature. So in this movie, Victor Frankenstein, played by Oscar Isaac, murders Elizabeth. I mean, I shouldn't say murders. He accidentally shoots Elizabeth when he meant to shoot the creature. And that is so different from the novel. It's so different from certainly the Branagh version, which is much more faithful to that plot point. And it just completely adds to the unlikable qualities of this Victor Frankenstein. Oscar Isaac is a solid actor. I mean, I don't dislike him, but I don't love him either. And in this movie, I think he's miscast. He's a little too old to play Frankenstein. And worse than that, Del Toro has him be a complete jerk throughout. Cruel, egotistical, no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Obviously, Frankenstein should have flaws. Nobody says he should be a perfect guy. Nobody's even saying he should be a good guy per se, but this bad? No. I mean, the movie's called Frankenstein, and unfortunately we have to follow this guy from, throughout the entire film. And I don't want to follow him. He's a complete jerk, and by the end of the film, when we're supposed to be somewhat moved by his begging the creature for forgiveness, I'm not moved. Why would I be moved by that? It's like Scarface was asking for forgiveness at the end of that Brian De Palma film, right? Only that's a way more compelling performance, obviously. But other issues here, Guillermo del Toro clearly has stolen from a lot of different sources here. Or maybe we'll say pays homage to, I guess. So, he pays homage to the Wolverine, right? Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And how do I mean that? This creature is not just superhuman. This creature heals quickly. You cut him, and the cut completely heals in seconds. You shoot him, he never goes down. He can't die. This guy can't die. Again, completely different from the novel. In the novel, the creature can die. This creature doesn't die. There's a scene where Victor Frankenstein follows Elizabeth into this church confessional and pretends to be a priest listening to her confession. That's stolen right out of The Mask of Zorro. Do you remember The Mask of Zorro with Antonio Banderas? Catherine Zeta-Jones, he follows her, or actually he goes into the confessional, she goes in, he pretends to be the priest, and she's giving her confession. Well, in this, there's a little bit of a twist. Mia Goth, as Elizabeth, she realizes, or she knows he's in the confessional, so she's the one that's actually tricking him when he thinks he's tricking her. But anyway, the whole point is, it's stolen right out of The Mask of Zorro. He steals from the Iron Giant. There's a scene where the creature has a moment with a deer, and then the deer gets shot, which of course takes the creature aback, and is kind of a profound experience for the creature. Well, that's straight out of the Iron Giant, like completely stolen from the Iron Giant. What else? Oh, Mia Goth's Elizabeth has no real relationship with Victor here. In the novel, she's engaged to Victor. She gets married to Victor. In this, she's engaged to Victor's little brother. Now, in the novel, the little brother is a child, but in this, the little brother is an adult. And anyway, she's engaged to the younger brother. She kind of flirts a little bit, I guess, with Victor, but also kind of hates Victor, which leads me to believe that I don't think Guillermo del Toro really knew what to do with Elizabeth. But anyway, so he has this weird dynamic going on, and it makes it all the more creepy or creepier that Victor is following her into this confessional. But anyway, whatever. But then she stumbles upon the creature, and she has this moment with the creature. It's this attraction, this sort of all I can say, it looks like an unspoken kind of love story going on here. And now there's elements of Beauty and the Beast between the creature and Elizabeth. It's like Guillermo del Toro wanted kind of all of these things in this version of Frankenstein, that he loses focus of what Frankenstein is actually about in the first place. His Frankenstein basically is about the creature, basically about all sympathies with the creature and all these mean humans around him. Except, I mean, Elizabeth's nice, the blind guy's nice, but other than that, humanity sucks, and the creature, is surrounded by all these horrible humans. In the novel, the creature murders innocent people. So this is not faithful to the novel at all. You can have a creature who does murder innocent people, but there's some sympathies that you can have toward the creature because he was sort of made that way. But that's not enough for Guillermo del Toro. Yeah, there's all kinds of issues I have with this film. It is 2.5 hours. And you know what? For 2.5 hours, it goes by fairly quickly, despite the fact that there's all kinds of issues with it. I mentioned the Christoph Waltz character. He's apparently, I think he was either Elizabeth's uncle or maybe he was Elizabeth's dad. And he also is rich and he's funding Frankenstein's scientific research. But he has an ulterior motive because he's got syphilis and, he's dying and he wants his brain to be put in the creature's body. I don't know. It's some craziness. Doesn't end up going anywhere when it's all said and done. Oh, and speaking of fathers, and the whole movie is also about father and son issues, right? Daddy issues. Because apparently, instead of in the novel where Victor Frankenstein has a loving family, in the movie, Victor Frankenstein has a really mean dad, played by Charles Dance. Now, instantly, once you see Charles Dance, you realize, oh, he's going to be a terrible father. I'm sure in real life, Charles Dance is probably a great dad. But in the movies, he's going to be an awful person. And he is. He's a terrible guy. He's a terrible dad. And all this is so that Guillermo del Toro can show the cycle continues because Victor Frankenstein is a terrible dad to the creature. So, again, Guillermo del Toro wants the narrative to be about fathers and sons. You know what? All this is fine. If this is what you want, Guillermo del Toro, that's great. But I just don't want to hear people say that this is the definitive Frankenstein. I don't want people to say that this is a faithful adaptation of the novel, because it isn't. This is some weird movie that Guillermo del Toro wanted to make. This is his version of Frankenstein. I just don't like it. I don't like Victor being completely unsympathetic in all regards. I don't like the creature being entirely unsympathetic and guilt-free of any sort of wrongdoings. I don't love Elizabeth, having a relationship with younger, brother and a kind of a relationship with the creature. I don't like the Christoph Waltz character even existing. And as far as how beautiful this film is, yes, it's a Guillermo del Toro picture, so it looks beautiful, but it's all superficial beauty. There's no practical reason for the gowns to look the way they do, or that set to look the way that it does. It doesn't. The beauty has no purpose, other than, gee, it looks really nice for the audience. And for a director who claims that he loves practical effects, there's an awful lot of CGI in this movie, particularly the animals, wolves, the deer. I forgot to mention there's wolves in this movie. And they're all fake. They're all CGI, and they're bad CGI too. That's you know what? Audiences have just decided they're going to buy into the bad CGI these days. Just suspend their disbelief, I guess. But I can't do it. It just takes me right out of it. And as good as the cinematography is, there's just something weird about the look of the picture. I don't know if it was shot on digital or what, but there is something that doesn't look quite authentic about any aspect of this film. The sets, you know, even in the icy locations, like nobody actually looks that cold, kind of thing. You know, there's just the whole thing looks like play acting in a way. Including all the actors. I love Mia Goth, but I must say every actor except for one looks like they're just playing dress up. They're just sort of play acting. The one actor who really seems in on this, the one actor who seems to be all in on this, is Jacob Elordi as the creature. Though I have some issues with the creature, I don't have any issues with that actor's performance. I have never seen him in anything, but he's damn good in this. So if this guy gets accolades for his performance, I completely understand. However, I'm very confused. I'm confused why so many people love this movie and so many people absolutely hate the 1994 Kenneth Branagh Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which I happen to have right here in 4K. I don't understand it to this very day. It's a faithful adaptation. Are there flaws? Are there maybe some deviations to the novel? Sure. There are deviations to every version of Frankenstein. And nobody has a problem with that. Nobody has a problem with the 1931 deviations. And apparently nobody has problems with the major deviations of the Guillermo del Toro film. Why do you have a problem with the minor, very minor deviations of the Branagh version? Branagh's Frankenstein is more sympathetic. He is he's a livelier character. He is, I guess you could say, he's portrayed as kind of a hero, but you see he is a flawed person. You see he is doing the wrong thing, and he does it a couple of times. There's a reason he's telling this story to the ship's captain at the beginning and end of the film, because he knows he was wrong and because he knows he was obsessed. He even tells the ship's captain that you share my madness. So he knows he's flawed. There is regret there. He doesn't have to show it every frame of the movie for it to still be in there. So I just don't get it. It's a highly energetic film, brilliant cinematography, constantly moving. Maybe a lot of people had an issue with that. The music's great from Patrick Doyle. Incredibly faithful, and the deviations that are there in this in the Kenneth Branagh version are really more like shortcuts, or where he might blend together two things that are in the novel into one thing, But that's it. It's all in a 2 hour and 2 minute film. I think it's just a shade over 2 hours, and that's it. And I think it's quite brilliantly directed, brilliantly edited, and brilliantly acted. And I've got to tell you, there is a Bride of Frankenstein sequence in the Branagh version that's missing in most of the other versions of Frankenstein, that is so fun and eerie and kind of horrific, but you can't take your eyes off of it. And Helena Bonham Carter, is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, it is a scene with Branagh, De Niro, who plays the creature, Robert De Niro plays the creature, and Helena Bonham Carter as Elizabeth, that is absolutely mesmerizing. Maybe even an element of camp there, but it's a fantastic scene. As is the scene where Branagh brings the creature to life in the first place. It's a really well done scene. He, instead of lightning coming from the sky, he uses electric eels and he uses amniotic fluid, and it's just a really interesting take on Victor Frankenstein's creation of this monster, and how he brings the character or brings the creature to life. So I'm perplexed. I think it's just a goodwill thing. People absolutely love Guillermo del Toro. They're huge fans of his, to the point where he can kind of do no wrong. So whatever he was going to create, whatever version of Frankenstein he was going to create, all he has to do is say, "Oh, I've been wanting to make this for 30 years," and everybody's going to love it. And I wish I did. I would have no problem loving several different versions of a story. But I just don't. And I think, if anything, maybe this is harsh to say, but I feel like Del Toro completely disrespects the spirit of the novel with this version. I feel like he didn't understand the novel. I feel like he doesn't understand really what Frankenstein's about. And I'm just as perplexed as to why, to this very day, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from 1994 with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro, I'm still perplexed as to why it's seen so negatively by viewers. All I can suggest is, whatever you think of the Guillermo del Toro film, go ahead and watch it. It's on Netflix. Stream it. What do you think of it? There's nothing wrong with loving a movie because of how beautiful it looks. So, if that's why, and because you just love Elordi's performance, I'll get that. But can you be just as open-minded the next time you see Mary Shelley's Frankenstein with Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro? If you ever see that come on TV, if you ever see it, or if you have an opportunity to stream it, can you be open-minded and give that movie a chance? Because hopefully you'll enjoy it as much as I did.